Hi everyone, welcome to Starsight. Today we're going to channel some messages about our anxiety. Often we only have the manifest cause in front of us and we're trying to solve that problem, but there could be underlying causes to our anxiety that are not clear to us, and that's where the intervention needs to happen, or even some witnessing needs to happen, because some of these underlying causes are really difficult, long standing, and more about our fears rather than actual issues. They're more psychic in nature than material. So today we're going to pick something that you feel anxious about in your daily life, in your current life. We're going to try and trace the root of that anxiety. Okay. So pick your pile, pause the video if you need more time, and I'll see you at the reading. Alright, pile 1. All paths lead home. Inner authority, intuition, turn your gaze within. Yeah, this pile feels a lot like whatever you're anxious about, you're continuously thinking, what is the right way to solve this problem? What must I do to resolve this problem? There's a desperation here. Like something really terribly intense is at stake. I remember one time I had like a patch of itchy skin, and it was a small patch and it was just itchy skin, and I remember it triggering me to a kind of like a panic level state. And one would think, well, it's just like a small patch of skin. What is it doing? Why am I reacting to it this way? But I remember like days and days of trying to figure out what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? So it's that kind of energy where the stimulus in your environment may appear small to others, may appear insignificant to others, maybe even to you, but there's an uncontrollable panic response that you're having in relation to it. And I think this kind of advice, like, no, there's nothing to do right now, turn your gaze within, etc., it'll get solved, it's too much. It's too much. It actually has the opposite effect on you, where it kind of feels worse to be told it'll be okay because you don't feel okay. This could be a feature in general of your relationships or some major relationships in your life, where when you share psychic issues, when you share anxiety, the other person offers a very logical, reasonable evaluation of the situation rather than actually engage with the psychic terms of how you feel, which often, how we feel is often not logical on the surface. When you delve deeper into it, then you can see the logic, but the surface is always a little bit excessive. I think there's also here an anxiety about just people in general, about how other people respond to you. Now, this could be something related to your current anxiety or something concurrent. There is both a desire to escape other human beings and also fear of doing that. Fear of actually letting people go, even if it's for 30 minutes. Pile 1, I feel like you're not quite at home in your own body or your actual home or your relationships, all of them or one of them, some of them, there's a feeling of not being at home. And I think whatever anxiety is active right now, it's at that level. It is bringing your attention, it is drawing your attention to the fact that you don't feel at home. Yeah, 5 of Wands, Ace of Coins, the Sun. This feels like either a career issue or a relational issue. There's a new beginning on the table. So you could be considering breaking up with someone, you could be considering leaving a job, starting something new, but you're feeling really anxious about it because you're going back and forth in your head about whether this is the right move for you. There's a lot of pros list, cons list kind of a thing happening, and you're not able to actually tune into what you feel. And at stake, I think, is a lot of the stuff that I was talking about before, which is that you don't feel at home in your own body, in your own mind. Definitely not in this relationship or job that you're considering leaving, but there could be something of, it could be comfortable, it could be something that you've made your peace with over a long time, and so you're considering whether it's worth it to disturb all of that and uproot yourself and go and try your hand at something new. You're worried that it'll be more of the same, this conventional wisdom that things are never perfect and there's always going to be something off about any situation, so I might as well make peace with the off thing in my current situation. But that's not quite accurate, Pile 1. Yes, no situation is perfect, but some imperfections are there, things to work with, and some imperfections are the cause of misery. There is a big difference between those two things. Your guidance is not to think about what could go wrong in the new situation, but to think about what is not quite right in the current situation. Don't do a pros and cons of what you might find in the new opportunity, whether it's a breakup or whether it's a new job. Think about how you're happy and not happy in your current situation. That will be a much more grounded and accurate way for you to assess whether you're ready to leave or not. Again, I think your mind might be in an overdrive right now about this choice. What should I do? What should I do? What should I do? There's a lot of Mars energy here. Actually, this is the first time I'm realizing I always thought of the 5 of Wands as Mars energy because there's also a lot of fighting happening within. But actually, it's a Saturn card. And so one of the things that could help you is to be disciplined about this decision. So you can give yourself a deadline. I'm going to decide in 7 days or 14 days. That might actually help you. It might also help to talk to a person who you can trust. someone who has impeccable integrity. I think what this moment is drawing your attention to, one is that you don't feel quite at home in what you consider to be home, but also that you may have lied to yourself about your current situation, about your current relationship or your current job situation. You may have said to yourself, I'm okay, when you're not. What you need to do in this moment, pile one, is really try and understand. Sorry about that noise. What you need to do right now, pile one, is really understand if you have settled in some way in your current situation, and if you have, why have you done that? There's some scarcity belief here that I'm not going to get any better, or I am never going to be happy in the way that I want to be happy. There's some compromise that you've made that's now coming up. The source of your anxiety right now is not whether you're going to make the right decision or not. I mean, that's what you may think on the surface. The source of your anxiety is, can I trust myself? Because it's becoming clearer and clearer to you that because of some of these fears of not being happy, of asking for too much, you might have lied to yourself in the past. And so now there's a lot of anxiety about whether you can trust yourself in, like, is your perception accurate that the opportunity on the table, either to break up or for the new job, is it really as good as you think it is? Let's see what you can activate to create more trust in yourself. Darkness, moon, change, wind, cleansing storms. Yeah. So I'm now going to share some advice from your guides, but please be discerning in whether you accept it or not, because this is a general reading and this advice has to really resonate for you in order to act on it. So don't be in a hurry, take your time with it. So your guides are encouraging you to make the change, whether it's breaking up or taking up a new job, not in the sense of, oh, that's going to be so much better than what you have, but they're asking you, or they're suggesting that going through this process might be a really good learning experience for you in cultivating self-belief and self-trust. So you have been trying to decide whether you want to take this leap on the basis of, well, what I'm going to now choose, is it going to be good? Is it going to be successful? Is it going to make me happy? Whereas your guides are saying, we don't know that. Yeah. Don't decide on the basis of whether the outcome is going to be positive in the sense of I'm going to feel happy or I'm going to feel successful, but think of it as a kind of independence building exercise. That something in your current situation is not making you happy, so you just take the leap on the basis of that. Okay, don't project like all of these wishes on the new situation. It has to be this or it has to be that. Instead, go into it with an open mind. Go into it with curiosity, with the trust that if that doesn't work out for you, then you'll take another leap. They're asking you to approach this newness with a kind of looseness instead of a rigid image of what it should be for you to, what it should be in order to justify this uprooting, the pain of this uprooting. Okay, so your guides are encouraging you to embrace change, but for its own sake, not as a bargain. Like, I'm going to go through all of this so that I can be happy, or now I'm going to let this relationship go and the new one that will come, it will be perfect. No, that's still perpetuating the same illusions of the situation needing to be perfect. Whereas your guides are saying prioritize self-presence. Nothing needs to be perfect or imperfect. It's about you. If you have belief in yourself, if you are able to trust yourself, if you are able to trust your perception, then you will be able to take the right decision in all situations. Yeah. You're also encouraged to cultivate some practices around darkness. So, this is about meditation, for example, or sleep yoga, or meditating just before going to sleep, or closing your eyes and doing some breath work. Creating empty space in your mind will help. I'm hearing a bee buzzing very, very loudly. So loud. I feel like it's a feature of your mental landscape right now that thoughts are very, very loud. Let's see what the big picture here is. Yeah, I think that in some fundamental way, Pile 1, you seem to be at a distance from yourself. And you could have been like that all of your life. You know, looking at yourself like this person is looking at this being from the other side of a glass window. Like, you're not able to actually inhabit your emotional states. There might be some deep work that you need to do about this. What has caused this dissociation? I feel like there's a lot of worry about your worth. Like, even a little bit of love and attention from others, a little bit of validation from others could feel like this is it, I can't get any better. It can't get any better. And so you stay in those kinds of situations for years and years. You have a very modest view of yourself, which is not a bad thing, right? Humility and modesty are not bad things. We all don't need to be proud. But I do feel like there is a self-effacement here that is actually detrimental to your experience of life. Like, you might be someone who dresses very modestly, but not because you enjoy it, but because you think you shouldn't be visible. Like, it's a modest dressing to kind of hide, to kind of say I'm not a big deal. Yeah, so whatever decision is on the table right now, Pile 1, is much more than that particular thing. Like, it's much more than the relationship that you're trying to leave or the job that you want. It's really about you. It's really about your self-belief. In terms of guidance, change will be good for you. Just summarizing now, change will be good for you. But I think also that, so you learn a lot through that, making those changes, but also if you can cultivate a practice of inner work that is not about thinking, for example, as I was saying earlier, breath work or meditation, that might be more useful right now than thinking, because the mental world feels a little bit out of whack, and and it's not judgment or criticism at all. This is most of us are alive in the world right now. It's just feeling like thinking about it might not get you too far right now, but other practices might. Creating empty space in your head might. All right, pile 1, that's your message. Sending you love. Pile 2, I'm sorry. Defenselessness, writing past wrongs, uprooting. You know, when I drew this card as a signifier for the second pile, my feeling was this is someone who is waiting for an apology from others or one specific person. But now, as I'm tuning into this energy, it feels like you're a person who feels immense regret and remorse about the way you have acted in the past towards one person or a group of people or in a particular situation, or even towards yourself. So consider this a kind of check-in. If this is not you, this pile may not be for you, okay? Because this is coming in, this is feeling really strong. That pile 2 belongs to a person who has, in hindsight, discovered that there was something selfish, something just, it's feeling like unjustifiably selfish in the way that you've acted in the past. And the other person could also have done something equally or similarly unjustifiable. This doesn't mean that you were the only person who did wrong, but for your side of things, you feel really sorry. It's not even guilt, it's beyond that. It's a sense of horror. How did I act like this? It could also be towards the land. So then this could be a past life thing where you could have been extractive of indigenous people or indigenous resources. Also, look at this card. So these 2 figures are turned to each other with their hands folded, apologizing, in pain, perhaps even at peace, and they are supported by these heads under the land. And it feels like those are the true selves, the hands that are under the heads, that are under the surface. And these heads are bound to each other and they're entwined with one another and they're rooted. Whereas these 2 figures above the land are separate. So that could be the first message for you, pile 2. That whoever you're apologizing to or whoever you feel accountable to, you are bound together not just by your actions but before that. Like there is a relational contract here that exceeds your knowledge, your conscious knowledge of who you are to each other. And this is by invoking the concept of a relational contract. I'm not saying that what you did was part of it. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that I think you're meant to receive this information for you to have greater perspective about why you might feel so intensely towards them. Why you might feel so intensely about how you've acted towards them, because you know them beyond this lifetime. This is not a stranger that you might have wronged. This is a loved one. Even if there is no chance now in this lifetime to be in a real relationship again, your relationship exceeds the bounds of this particular experience. And this is also to assure you that whatever work you do within yourself is repairing your relationship in the ether. Okay? They're not lost forever, though they may be lost in the realm of this lifetime to you. But whatever work you do, all the accountability that you take in your mind and in your heart, that is sending them healing energy. So whatever reparative work that you do within yourself, you may feel a little bit, you may have felt a little bit, you may have felt despair that, okay, I'm doing all of this work within myself, but I can never, am I able to help them? And yes, you are. Continue working on yourself. Wheel of Fortune, Strength in reverse, 9 of Wands. This feels like you had a very strong relationship with someone, but you came into a little bit of success or maybe major success, and you stopped giving to this relationship. You were focused so much on the pleasure that you were getting from your success that you stopped nurturing the relationship, or you thought it was a temporary thing, like, I have this big project, it's amazing, I'm going to have to be away from you for a year, but we are solid, we are good. But in that year, like, you just stopped watering that relationship. Just tuning into the energy here, pile 2. I'm trying to understand what is the anxiety here, because the other emotions I understand, the horror, the desire to help them, the need to take accountability, all of that I understand. I'm trying to understand what's the anxiety. It's I'm feeling some stuff coming about their perception of you, like you're anxious about that, but it seems to go deeper. I think you've really seen a side of yourself that you can't quite reconcile with. And yeah, the selfishness is hard to integrate, to witness, but it's more than that. I feel like something in you found that relationship, as nurturing as it might have been, as good as it might have been, you found that relationship also binding in some way. Like it took away your freedom in some way, and you didn't notice that while being in the relationship. And then you acted out in this way by abandoning it. And this person might have been like a really good person. One of those rare human beings in the world who just, they're simple at the level of their heart. That they don't have any agenda with anyone. It might have turned boring into you after a point, and you didn't know that. It was hard for you to recognize that. And whatever opportunity came your way, it felt so exciting. Whereas this relationship, though solid and loving, it wasn't exciting. I think you're really anxious about your need for excitement and adventure, pile 2, because to you it might seem like it's either or based on your past experiences. Like either you can have a good, stable, loving relationship, or you can have a little bit of adventure and excitement and chasing. I think what happened in this past relationship is that once things settled down, once you got into a groove with each other, the chase left the scene, so to speak, it started feeling dead to you. And you're really anxious about this because you don't want to act like this again. If you get into a relationship with someone, you want to be there for them in a solid way, but you're also uncomfortable about your need for movement and adventure. Yeah, I think this is that you just need a little bit of conscious, reasonable thinking out here, pile 2. Yes, this happened in the past, that this kind of contrast developed between solidity and adventure, but you can absolutely have relationships where you can have both. Absolutely you can. It's just going to require, like all relational goals, a little bit of trial and error. But something inside of you is afraid that this is the dichotomy that's always going to exist, and that is not true. You can have both, but it's going to take you a little bit to figure out what kind of form that could take. It could take the form of an open relationship, for example. It could take the form of polyamory. It could take the form of you spending some time apart on a regular basis. It can be all kinds of things. As long as you are cognizant of what you need, you're going to be able to manage it. Yeah, I think this anxiety is very manageable, pile 2, but because it has been merged into your guilt, into your horror of how you've acted towards a former partner, I think it feels unmanageable. But actually, if you separate it from what's happened in the past, this is very, very manageable. Let's see what you need to activate. right now. Adventure, see? Speaking your word, voice, yeah. Life, breath, yeah. Your need for adventure is life affirming. It's absolutely real. Don't deny that to yourself, and don't think that means you can't have a solid loving relationship. The key to having the kind of balance you need is actually communicating, learning to communicate. I think in that earlier relationship you might have been really scared of making the other person feel upset, like they were giving so much, and then to turn around and say it's still not enough. You were really afraid of hurting them. This is what you need to cultivate now. It's not, you wouldn't say that to hurt them. Expressing your needs, being clear about what you're looking for is not a rejection of the other person. It's simply you asking for what you need. Yeah, you may need to work a little bit on this capacity to communicate to the other something that they might not like, risking their distress. You know, there's some people pleasing energy here that you might need to resolve. It's okay if the other person doesn't like what you say, as long as you're being true and you're being kind and respectful. But yeah, your need for adventure is very, very real, pile 2. Look at this person, they're so happy. Sorry about the dog. He's gotten really, the dog has gotten, this is a neighbor's dog, has gotten really irritated these last couple months. Before that, I wouldn't hear a sound out of him most days. You have to understand this about you, pile 2, that when you get restless and you don't make space for that restlessness, you're forced to explode, you're forced to act out. But that acting out is something inside of you trying to fulfill its needs. It's not acting out in the sense that you're being violent to someone. I mean, that might be an effect, but that's not the intention. The intention is actually to discharge that restlessness. Now, if you consciously make space for that discharge, if you consciously make space for this adventure that you seek, you crave for, you're going to find that you act in a much more aligned way in your relationships. You know, your needs are just, because they're fulfilled, you are a very different person. Listen to your heart. Listen to your heart and speak your heart. Trust that if the other person is not on board with your needs, that relationship is not the right thing for you. You know, no matter how loving and wonderful that person is. It's not just about the other person, it's also about the relationship that you're able to build with them. And sometimes you're not able to build good relationships with a good person simply because your needs are not aligned, and that's okay. Yeah. Let's get some perspective from your guides. Animal. Here is a being on the beach resting, and here is a being, it's an elephant, enjoying the evening. Yeah, I think you need a little bit of rest right now from relationships. Just get all of this out. Come to terms with the kind of balance you need between stability, safety, and adventure and excitement. And you'll be ready to be out and about in no time. Separate the guilt you feel about your form a relationship with your very authentic need for fun. Okay? As you do that work, you'll find much more acceptance within you for your own self, and that'll set you up to act in a much more aligned, ethical way with others. This feels good, Pile 2, a really big growing up moment for you in terms of your relational self. Coming to terms with your authentic needs and learning to express them and learning to be confident that you'll be able to meet them as long as you are speaking your truth. Yeah. All right, Pile 2, that's your message. Sending you a lot of love. Pile 3. Sorry about the dog. Tuning into your energy here. This feels like a pile. Feels like an energy where you feel disappointed by your life. Like you feel it's not panned out the way that you expected it to pan out. Let's say that you were really good at school, or you were really good while getting your degree, but now that you're working, you're not as successful as you thought you would be. There's a scale mismatch. You expected to be fulfilled and successful at a scale that hasn't quite manifested for you. And so you feel kind of shortchanged. You feel, this is too little. This is too little. Consider this an energy check, Pile 3. So if this is not you, this pile may not be for you. Okay. Your anxiety is very much about what now? Like, is it going to be like this for the rest of your life? Like, will you never achieve the scale of fulfillment that you sought, that you expected, that you dreamt of? It's really hard for you to reconcile yourself with the present shape of your life, but also it doesn't seem like there are any openings in your midst to make life bigger. But it also feels like whatever the situation is has activated anxiety about you. Like, was I wrong to think I could have that? It feels like, I'm sure I'm saying the name wrong, Eowyn in The Lord of the Rings. If you don't know The Lord of the Rings, don't worry. Okay. So it's a character, and she's a princess, but she doesn't have any responsibility. She's just supposed to sit pretty, and at one point in the story, she says that is her fear. Her fear is not dying in battle. Her fear is not failing. Her fear is not being used. Her fear is having to sit behind bars, she says. And that's the kind of energy I'm feeling with you. Like not having a role to play in the world, not having a purpose. Palace of Cups. Cups in reverse, 7 of Coins in reverse, Lovers in reverse, right? Yeah, so whatever work you're doing right now, you're wondering if this is just you pouring energy into something that's never going to be what you need it to be. You know, let's say if you have a business and it's the way it's going, the people, the clients that you're serving, it just feels really underwhelming. You have no interest. It's not that you don't like the work or you're not invested in the work. It's just, it is so underwhelming. The kind of difference that you wanted to make, you just don't see it happening. Let's say that you started a business to sort of clean homes and beautify them, and instead you're being called to just clear some cobwebs. You know, there's that spirit of the business is completely unrecognized by the clients who are contacting you. So I feel like you're in this, there's a kind of depression here. I don't mean it in the clinical sense. I think just in general, you're having, you don't have a lot of energy for your work right now. And that is what is causing anxiety, because you feel, oh, it's not what I need it to be, but I want to make it into what I need it to be, and I don't have the energy for it. You just can't bring yourself to work on this. It just feels, I can't, like you're not able to get your mind and body aligned to do the things that you think you need to do to make this into purpose. So let's say, again, continuing with the business example, let's say that you think, oh, I need to advertise more, I need to, in my ads, I need to explain to others what actually the purpose of this business is, but your brain is just not working enough for you to write the copy of that ad, you know. That's making you anxious, like, oh, this is not working, and what I need to do, I'm not even doing. See what you need to activate. Motion, air, pressure, transformation, right, fluidity, outcome. Okay, pile 3. Just you need some distance from this situation, okay? Look at this. If you know Lord of the Rings, this is amazing. This was actually a scene in I think the first movie, where these horses they materialized out of air. Arwen called them forth. This is another character. Oh my god, I love this. I hope you know the Lord of the Rings and you'll understand the symbolism much better. But if you don't, no worries. But Arwen called these horses to protect something, to protect Frodo, protect something really precious, something that needed protection, something sacred that needed protection. And this is what you need to understand about your anxiety, pile 3. You know, the purpose that you have in mind for your work, it is sacred and you need to protect it right now. Okay, what does that mean? Like, you're trying really hard right now to trade it. You know, in the sense that you want the realization of the purpose to make you feel good and useful. Whereas you want the purpose to serve you. You want the purpose to serve your process of self-definition. Whereas the guidance is, no, you need to serve your purpose. Your purpose is good. It is the right thing. You figured it out, but you need to be in a different relationship to it. Instead of thinking like, once this business works or once this purpose is realized, I will feel good. You need to think, okay, how can I be the person who's able to serve? You know, if it's the beautification of homes, like, what is the work that I need to do within myself to be able to do this work in the world? So you need a little distance right now to change, to reverse that relationship. Do things that are not about, your work at all. Like, do something radically different. For example, enroll in a class that's about something that's just totally unrelated. Read a book that has nothing to do with your current problem. I think the shift is going to happen through some other means. Like, it's not going to happen by you obsessing over this problem, but it's going to happen as you see other people serving their purpose. Yes. So books about other people, like just a really beautifully written book means that someone has served the muses, or taking a class, let's say taking a pottery class, and you're seeing someone serve soil or serve clay with all of their heart and soul, and witnessing that in others, how other people are serving their purpose instead of using their purpose to feel good about themselves, that is going to change you. Okay? And once you start serving your purpose, you are going to feel good, but that's not, if that is at the center of it, you're not actually going to be able to provide service. Does that make sense, Pile 3? Like, helping others is going to make me feel good, but if I help others with the express selfish purpose of I need to feel good about myself, that's not really helping others, is it? Yeah. And this is not a judgment about you at all. This is something that, like, it's just a paradigm shift that you need, and you're going to be so surprised at how easily things fall into place as you go through this paradigm shift. And you will achieve this paradigm shift by witnessing others who are serving their purpose. Definitely watch The Lord of the Rings if you haven't, or watch it again, might really help. Let's see the big picture here. Yeah. This is the stage of things when you're building strong roots, Pile 3. You're building strong roots. I think so far your attention has been on like the branches, the branches, the leaves, the reach of the tree. Let's say again, it's a business, so you want to make sure that you get the word out, people know what you're offering, etc. But currently, actually, what's required is inner work, not work in the world. It's not about growing your tree wide, and it's not about getting your tree to flower. It's about building strong roots, building strong relationships with your purpose. And that's going to happen not by you meeting the right clients. It's not going to happen by you putting ads out. It's about you understanding who you are and what the right relationship with your work is. Okay. Be patient with this process, because once it's in place, things are just going to move very organically. But until that really happens, until you're in the right relationship with your purpose, you might find that the branching and the flowering is somewhat slow. Please be patient with that. Trust yourself. Trust that once the roots are strong, there is no way the tree won't flower, But that work needs to happen, and that may take some time, that may take some, it may demand a kind of strength and endurance from you that is surprising, that takes a lot out of you. But that's exactly what needs to happen for this purpose to get solid, for you to become worthy of the purpose that you want to serve, you know? I mean, worthy is probably a bad word. It's a capitalist word. I don't mean worthy in the sense you're not worthy right now, but sometimes our purpose, like, sometimes we don't match the sacredness of our purpose because of fears about ourselves, because selfishness, because of pride issues, sometimes just because of egoic issues, like the purpose is here for us rather than we are here for it, you know? And so this is a time where you start matching the sacredness of your purpose, where you start protecting it rather than trading it for self-definition or for self-satisfaction. This is a hard one, pile 3. This is a hard one, but it's like a solid thing that you are engaged in right now. I'm sending you a lot of energy and love for you to do this, because big things are coming. Big things are coming. But this is a time to build foundations. And that work can feel slow and like you don't have much to show for because everything's happening under the surface, but that's exactly what you're supposed to do right now. So on with it. Sending love, pile 3.